before we wrap it up, I'm interested, like what overarching, we've kind of touched on it, but I want to kind of just crystallize this a little bit. What is the overarching kind of lesson that you've learned that if you could go back, would you have done anything different? And if you could speak to yourself at 17 years old, what kind of advice would you give to yourself then that would have changed where you are now?
Probably nothing to change. Well, one thing that wouldn't necessarily change where I am now, but I'd tell myself that it's a long journey. Like just talking about it, 17 to 25, it's what, 8 years.
Mm.
I don't feel like I've moved too far down the path, but in hindsight, I guess you can reflect and say that I have. I've put one of the big rocks in the jar, but it takes time, and you can't build a portfolio overnight. So one piece of advice would be just to understand that it takes a little bit of time to take steps forward in the journey. And then the second piece, which coming back to the actual deal, that it's problems with the deal, would be making sure that I'm relying on the right people and the advice from the right people when I'm influenced or being influenced to make a decision about my financial future. So, for instance, I took advice from a broker who was only looking at the finance perspective. I had been told by the buyer's agent that, from their experience, don't be surprised if the, property purchase plus granny flat cost is going to stack up in a bank valuation when you're applying for a loan. So
don't be surprised
if
it would, like they said, they implied that it would or wouldn't.
If it wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay.
So generally speaking, they were saying, look, sometimes most of the time our buyers or people that are looking to create a dual occupancy, just because there's none of these properties for resale in the market, the banks can't accurately value that kind of product. Yes, if you were to take it to market, you would probably get a premium price for that because another investor would see the value in that rental return. But if you're, the way banks value property, they rely on comparable sales, and there just aren't a significant portion of the market with dual occupancy, which have recently sold, which then a bank can go, okay, we understand what market value is for this property. So the buyer's agent was saying just be cautious and expect that you might have to put, say, 20% deposit into that deal as opposed to 10%.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good advice. Good advice.